Alright guys, so the last time on The Beginning After the End, our boy Arthur saw slave traders have abducted an elven child. Arthur had promised to use his powers for good and rescue the young elf. Tesha was just a kid, so Arthur, with the best intentions, decided to escort her back to her elven settlement. But picture this, a human boy and an elf child traversing the wilds, and along the way a bond starts to form. A connection blossoms as they get to know each other, but suddenly Arthur starts experiencing pains that intensifies with every step. Yet despite his own suffering, he pushes on and finally brought Tesha to the elven settlement, but instead of a hero's welcome, elf soldiers caught him, treating him like public enemy number one. So now as the story continues, Arthur looks around at Tesha, his friend. But the look in her eyes were cold and distant. Arthur realized their journey and their budding friendship were all a deception. Then, as the soldiers were ready to end Arthur, only then Tesha halted their attack. She tried to explain that Arthur had saved her, but the elves jumped to conclusion. A human boy appearing with their missing princess. Clearly, he must have seduced her. The standoff only ended when orders came down from a higher authority. Turns out little Tesha isn't just any elf child. She's a princess, and the big shot who called off the dogs was none other than Tesha's grandfather, Lord Virion. He thanked Arthur for bringing his granddaughter home. Speechless doesn't even begin to cover it for Arthur, especially since Princess Clueless over here hadn't breathed a word about her royal status. Then her parents arrived, the king and queen of the Elven Kingdom themselves. The king's reaction was less than welcoming. He ordered immediate arrest, but Virion stood his ground, declaring Arthur the savior who returned Tesha, and even the stern king couldn't completely ignore his precious daughter's plea for proper hospitality towards her rescuer. So Tesha, with all smiles and royal authority, tells Arthur he's coming with her and no arguments allowed. Virion had things to discuss later, and that sent a shiver down Arthur's spine, but for now, Tesha leads Arthur through the settlement, a place of breathtaking beauty, but marked by the hateful glares of the elves. History between humans and elves is clearly a bitter one. Despite this, Tesha is right by his side. Arthur was confused why the sudden tune change from when he was surrounded by danger, so Arthur needs to stay on alert. Then they finally reached the castle, and Tesha instructed the servants to extend the finest hospitality to her savior. But before that, Arthur wants to talk about the events. So a meeting was arranged, and Tesha noticed Arthur standing awkwardly and immediately had a seat prepared for him, and even orders some snacks. Then comes the formal introductions, and Arthur showed impeccable etiquette. This doesn't go unnoticed by the perceptive King Alduin, who raises an eyebrow, wondering if Arthur's truly a commoner. Then Arthur recounts the tale of Tesha's capture by the slave traders and his intervention. Alduin's fury toward humans flares up, but Arthur wisely points out that the slave trading isn't race. It's a vile practice that transcends species. Virion asked for the details of the rescue, but the idea of a child taking down adult slave traders was unbelievable to the elven soldiers. Virion, however, holds them back, trusting his granddaughter's judgment. Tesha herself vouches for Arthur's truthfulness, and her mother, the queen, visibly feels relieved to have her daughter safe. Now Arthur just wants to go home, but Alduin's prejudice remains. Arthur was also never one to back down, urging the king not to be like same savages he accused humans of. Virion was amused by a young boy putting the elven king in his place, and Alduin, though clearly annoyed, he doesn't press the issue, especially when the little queen intervenes. The teleportation gate has a major catch. It only opens once every 7 years for a Tri-Kingdom summit, so Alduin decided to provide an escort team for Arthur's journey back. There Virion senses the increasing intensity of the pain Arthur is enduring, and steps outside to get a breath of fresh air. There his gaze falls upon a happy elven family. A longing hits Arthur with question. Will his own parents be this joyful upon his return? The weight of his past life with the regrets and the darkness floods his mind, making him question if he even deserves such love. Tesha sensed his mood, came down to join him. She apologized for the rough treatment from earlier, and Arthur waves it off. He sees fierce love for Tesha and believes she deserves to be spoiled. Tesha felt like a kid but knows Arthur's parents would do the same for him. But Arthur's past shadows linger, and he still holds himself accountable for what happened on that mountain. So he doubts if his parents would accept him. So Tesha gently knocks some sense into him that parents aren't like that. She insists even his parents must be worried sick. Then, as a soft light filters through the garden, Arthur gets lost in his thoughts, but he's slowly beginning to understand that kindness and unconditional love does exist, so a fragile hope starts to bloom in his heart. A willingness to open himself to affection, but a sudden attack was aimed at Tessia, and Arthur stopped it. Shockingly, the attacker was Virion. However, the attack wasn't malicious. The thing Virion threw was just light. He only wanted to see if Arthur truly had the skill to defeat those slave traders, so he gives a dummy sword to Arthur and moves Tessia to the side. Arthur throws himself into the fight. His movements were fluid, and he sees an opening. But Virion is also lightning fast to counter, and a broken piece of sword hurtles towards Tessia, but Arthur stops it mid-air, all while continuing his magical attacks on Virion. Arthur feels like he's battling a beast, yet somehow he manages to land a hit. And that's where Tessia scolds Virion for bullying Arthur. But seeing Arthur's abilities and his selfless act of protecting Tessia, Virion makes a surprising proposition. He wants Arthur as his apprentice. Arthur still can't accept because his parents believe he's dead, but sensing the volatile power of the beast will surging within Arthur. Virion offers he'll help Arthur contact his parents because the untamed power inside him could kill him. And that's where we leave our episode. But will Arthur accept Virion's offer? And what exactly is this dangerous power growing inside him? And will he ever truly understand the complexities of his relationship with the elven princess? Tune in next time for more thrilling developments in the beginning after the end. Till then, take care.